Hello and welcome to Select 10. This year has proven to be an excellent one for action movies, therefore, today we are going to count down our selections for the top 10 best new action movies of 2023 so far that all fans of action and thrillers should watch. This year saw the release of numerous fresh action movies, from big releases on major streaming platforms to big theatrical releases. And I've also added one foreign language action film that you might enjoy, and the most interesting part is that nearly every major action film of 2023 has lived up to expectations. Now let's start the video. Number 10. Kill Bok-soon. To put it briefly, this movie is an excellent, satisfying female version of John Wick. The storyline is essentially the same. Kill Bok-soon is an expert killer who is deceived by her employer just before she was scheduled to extend the terms of her agreement. As a result, her loyalty gets put to the point when Bok-soon is required to maintain both her private and professional lives separate while working on an unsafe assignment. When you hear that a movie contains fights like John Wick, there is not much more an action fan needs to hear after that. The action is tremendous, and there are a lot of insane fight scenes. The story is good and has that aspect of the mother-daughter bond that provides an emotional touch to the overall film. Number 9. Operation Fortune. It is a 2023 spy action comedy film directed by Guy Ritchie. Jason and action are a strong combination. However, while some people might think the movie's plot is good and others could think it's ordinary, one thing is for sure, the movie's action is fairly strong and it delivers in that regard. The plot centers on spy Orson Fortune and his group of the most skilled agents in the world as they set out on a covert operation to recover lost high-tech equipment before a weapons trader sells it to the biggest buyer. The story continues as the crew deals with unforeseen obstacles from a competing group that is also after the same device and threatens their success. Even though it may not be Ritchie's best work, the film is entertaining enough, has solid spy action, and has some good funny moments scattered throughout. Number 8. Sisu. It is a 2023 historical action thriller film directed by Jalmari Helander. This movie generated a lot of buzz when it came out, and it was well worth the hype. From the beginning to the end, the action was savage. The plot is set in the aftermath of the World War II era and depicts the story of a great ex-soldier who is now a gold prospector. One day, while performing his regular duties, he uncovered gold, but his joy was short-lived when he was attacked by a violent soldier group that stole his gold. The action begins from here as he attempts to get his gold back while fighting off a squad led by an evil commander. The story is basic but appealing, and the gritty setting of World War II is a fascinating addition to the revenge theme. Regarding the action scenes, they were insane and provided an emotional outlet for the epic-scale revenge. This would be a terrific choice if you want to see action on the John Wick level. Number 7. The Roundup: No Way Out. It is a 2023 action crime film directed by Lee Sang-yong. It is a follow-up to The Roundup, one of the top action movies of 2022. The plot takes place a few years after The Roundup, where Ma Seok-do has joined a new unit to look into a murder investigation involving an artificial narcotic, a band of criminals, the Yakuza, and dishonest police officers. Each action-packed moment in the story is filled with high intensity because of the suspense and crime elements, which keep the audience on the edge of their seats. The incorporation of the Japanese Yakuza fighters adds a whole element of surprise. Compared to its first two installments, this movie is quite predictable, and many viewers will be able to foresee what will happen in the end. But for those who like action, there is everything from hand-to-hand combat to sword fights when the scene demands it. All of this culminates in a high-octane, action-packed story, making this film one of the best in the genre. Number 6. Extraction 2. Chris Hemsworth, in an all-out action movie, is swiftly turning deadly. Following the great success of Extraction 2, a third installment, which is rumored to be a lot greater in scope than the second, has been given the green light. The most enjoyable aspect of the action in Extraction movies is how raw it looks. It's not the kind of over-the-top action we typically see in other movies. Extraction gets everything right, from severe hand-to-hand combat to gunfights and much more. In Extraction 2, Rake returns after a lengthy absence to embark on a new mission to save the vulnerable family of a deadly criminal who has been imprisoned for a long time. However, the assignment does not go as planned, and a shocking death puts Rake and his team in danger as the notorious brother of the captured criminal swears to find them. So don't think twice about this film when it comes to action. Add it to your list of next action movies to watch, you won't regret it. Number 5. The Equalizer 3. It is a 2023 action thriller film directed by Antoine Fuqua. I am a huge fan of this franchise, and while this one may not be the finest, it is a worthy sequel that will appeal to the majority of the fans. There is less action in this compared to parts 1 and 2, which might leave some fans wanting more. Nevertheless, it's not as if there is nothing. There is excellent Denzel Washington hallmark action that we all enjoy, but it's just not enough. The central plot of The Equalizer centers on Robert McCall, a former Marine who has had difficulty coming to terms with the terrible deeds he has committed in his career, but takes a weird satisfaction in pursuing justice for the sake of the underprivileged. The third installment follows Robert, who unexpectedly finds himself in southern Italy. There, he meets new people and learns that these people are controlled by the local criminal bosses. The situation swiftly turns catastrophic, and McCall is forced to help protect his friends from the local gang boss. The villain is quite weak, you can tell it's a one-sided conflict between him and Robert. But what I find most appealing about this film is its plain but intense narrative, which nicely complements his action. It wraps up the trilogy nicely, while leaving the door open for more. Number 4. Javan. It is a 2023 action thriller film directed by Atlee. The plot centers on a mysterious individual with a personal grudge who sets out on an odd journey to right wrongs committed within society in the hope of fulfilling a promise he made several years earlier. His actions soon pitted him against a terrifying weapons dealer who brought tremendous pain to a great number of people and had a connection to his past. While all this is going on, a cunning police officer is on his trail and gets pulled into this conflict. This is only the tip of the iceberg. There are several side stories, twists, and surprises that you won't be able to predict. Shah Rukh Khan's performance was just outstanding, and the most impressive element that elevates this challenging plot to an entirely new height is its electrifying background music. The action scenes are numerous, but the fight sequence in the warrior costume was outstanding. Despite its complex plot and lengthy running time, the movie has plenty of fun and action to keep viewers guessing and entertained throughout. Here are a few honorable mentions. Fast X. While this one was a letdown in comparison to the previous films, it is still worth seeing for its immense car chases and outrageous action. And, of course, Jason's performance was a major driving force behind Fast X. The plot develops when an unidentified menace from the Dom's past appears and starts ruining both his team and his current calm life. There are many characters from old films, and some twists may surprise you, but not in a good way. However, if you enjoy the franchise or simply want to see some exciting action, this will satisfy your requirements. AKA. It is an action thriller that depicts the story of a secret agent who must enter an organized crime gang in order to carry out his mission, which is to kill off an accused culprit, the boss of the gang. However, things become challenging when he develops a bond with a criminal's young son, forcing him to reevaluate his values and putting both his mission and himself in danger. Give this one a try if you enjoy thrillers. It is non-stop entertaining and action-packed from beginning to finish. Plane. It is an action thriller film that depends more on suspense and anticipation than on outright action, but it still manages to tell an enjoyable story where each choice has a significant impact on how the plot will turn out. The plot centers on an airliner passengers whose flight gets caught by thunderstorms, forcing pilot Brody Torrance to touch down the aircraft on a remote island that is in the midst of a civil conflict. The rest of the story follows the pilot's search for a way out of the island while trying to save the passenger from the island rebel soldiers. Number 3. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, Part 1. One of the most well-known spy, Ethan Hunt, returns in a daring new adventure, which arguably makes this film the biggest action movie of 2023. The film met fans' expectations and has a narrative that is way too big to fit in a single film, so Part 2 is on the way. The film raised the global adventure to an almost extreme degree and used many actual stunts as earlier entries in the franchise. In the movie, Ethan and his IMF crew strive to keep the entity, a deadly rogue artificial intelligence, from slipping into the hands of the wrong people, while a mysterious adversary from Ethan's past reappears and does all in his power to thwart his attempt to save the planet. The major positive of the movie is its enormous scope, which makes it visually appealing, and as for the action, you already know how dedicated Tom Cruise is and how he delivers fantastic fight and combat sequences. The action is phenomenal, from that bike jump sequence to the train fight and many more. Number 2. Guy Ritchie, The Covenant. The film ticked all requirements for a terrific action war film, and its gripping storyline is a stunner. The story focuses on Master Sergeant John Kinley, who is injured in action and seeks linguist Ahmed's help to accompany him over hours of hostile territory. The movie chose thrilling tension and thrills over lengthy action sequences, and it feels more satisfying than any sort of bloody combat. Jake gave a standout performance, and the movie was a less evident but more intense war drama than numerous others in the past few years. Number 1. John Wick, Chapter 4. One of the best action movies of all time, and most likely the present ruler of the action genre. This film series should serve as an example for upcoming action films. The franchise excels at world building, character development, and mind-boggling, terrifying action. The movie continues John's fight against a high table, an underground network of assassins that spans the world, while he faces off against increasingly threatening enemies who are out to kill him. The movie continues to feature mindfully staged action scenes and beautiful locations, but it also demonstrates that a straightforward story can still deliver heart-pounding, thrilling action. This film kicked off and hit through into the books of action film history, establishing itself on a larger scale. That's it for today. Thank you for watching this video. And do subscribe our channel to see more videos related to movies and series suggestions.